It is September 30th, 2019. This is Atlanta United FC Weekly, a Home Before Dark podcast.
Toot. You got all my wood over there.
There we go. There we go. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are about 4 minutes late, trying to get back into the swing of things. I am Tim. Always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Kevin Bradley, across from me, the bearded one, drinking his bourbon. It has been a while. It's been 2 weeks since we recorded.
Gotta go easy on the bourbon. I got the worst canker sore I've ever had in my entire life.
You got cankle sores?
Mm-hmm. My ankles have just swollen. They've ballooned up.
Too much sodium, man.
That's all it is. I've just been eating fatback. I'm on a strict fatback diet.
Strictly ham hocks and fatback.
I need to make some fatback.
I need to make some ham hocks.
It's gonna be our Friendsgiving this year.
Come over to the house and
just gain 30 pounds of water weight from all the sodium intake.
Gonna do you know how they do the turducken. Oh god, a turducken with ham hocks in it,
or just stuff with fat back.
No,
because it's gonna get soggy. It's just salty pork fat inside.
The tofurkey, you know, whenever they do like the congealed soy, the tofu turkey.
Oh yeah,
but do that, but like Spam, but with ham hocks.
Yeah,
that'd be good. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in on this lovely Monday evening. Taking time out of your day. Let me let the dog out real quick, like the Baja men.
Oh man, get out! See, I heard from Dan.
Nobody's heard from Dan. Earth to Dan. Earth to Dan.
I don't even think he listens to us anymore. Like, fuck those guys.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, probably not.
That's a sick cutout, though.
Thanks. That's a cheap $7 piece of soft pine from Home Depot that I did a test cut with up there with the old X carve.
That's pretty sick. I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
You gonna start making choo-choos next?
Yeah, probably. I think that's the next logical step. No, I don't think so, because that's way too 3D for me to do a cutout from. So
how do I even do this, dude?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I get it.
It's a chunk of plywood at the top, and then there's
so this is a separate piece, and then they just drill. It looks like there's just holes straight down into this, and then they miter it off, and then cut these little slits in it.
Interesting.
Okay, this is all done with a laser cutter. Let's see the burn marks on it.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can definitely get a lot more detail, a lot more fine. Ages 5+. Like what?
I don't know though. That might just be from my dip. Just blowing dip spit in here.
What? How would that be a hazard for somebody 5 years and younger?
I think it's more of a hazard for some adults. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean.
Not for me though.
Toot. Anything. Oh God. Anything to
it's almost like an exclamation point.
Do it. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, you genius. No, but leave the mom on the other side.
But it's upside down.
Yeah, but she's still yelling.
That's still pretty good though. Yeah, I like it.
That's exclamation. We got all the swag. We got Matthew's 3D printed Home Before Dark sign. We're just trying to distract from that miserable game that we had last night.
Oh fuck! I forgot to bring the damn cow with me. My car's in the shop, so I had to bring Katie's car. Joe Johnstone's mentioned it. Where's my H before D, Kevin? We haven't recorded, so I haven't been able to give this man the proper respect that he deserves.
Put some respect on Joe Johnstone's name.
The man is living on a throne of chicken sandwiches from Chick-fil-A. He got the CFA seat upgrade, stripped it right out of the hands of darling Theodora. We were in the running, but he got it. He got the CFA seat upgrade. He got the stuffed cow, 52 sandwich vouchers, got to go sit in the club level.
Oh, that's how that works. So you get one per week?
I mean, you could technically use them all at one time. He goes, I wish they were beef and cheddar coupons, but they would have had to, they would have been twice the value. So
I had, it's funny you talk about beef and cheddars. I had this moment today with one of my employees where she was talking about how much she hated that Black and Yellow song by Wiz Khalifa. It's like in college, we used to sing that, but it was beef and cheddar.
Yeah, exactly.
That and mozzarella pretty much any food item that was at Arby's at the time.
So we were both in the running for CFA seat upgrade, and he ends up winning it. He gets the stuffed cow and all that. And of course, our very own Andy Watkins starts shaming him. How could you take this from such a small child? And we had a lot of fun with it. And I'll be damned, he didn't come running over out of nowhere and runs up behind us and just like gives her the cow and runs away. And you should have seen her face, but she lit up with this thing. She sleeps with it now.
Wow. It's overtaken the sea lion.
It was awesome. They're all buddies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations, Joe Johnstone.
So he's one of our own.
He's one of our own.
It's good to know that it's possible.
That's one thing Angie and I have been talking about, that CFA upgrade. It's like, how does the free Chick-fil-A for a year work? Is it like whenever they had to stop serving Kramer, and whenever he had the lawsuit with the cafe lattes, whenever he kept coming up and they just kept refusing service on him or not? Yeah, it would be.
Apparently he didn't even see Andy. See, what a gentleman. He's just so great, man.
Yeah.
This is my problem though. Whenever people do nice things for me, I'm like, I gotta fit. I can't live with just somebody doing something nice for me. So I was immediately like, I'll give it back to you. Like, you don't have to do this. Stop. Don't do nice things.
It's like The Office with Dwight and Andy whenever they couldn't. Yeah. Who owed one last?
Exactly.
You can't not return the favor. If you guys are watching us on YouTube and you are not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell icon, the bell Holcomb icon, who's been missing for God knows how long.
I'm gonna need to rename it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to rename it. We need suggestions on what to rename the notification bell icon. If you guys are listening to us on iTunes the day after or whenever you listen to us, make sure that you guys not only subscribe, but rate and review the show. We'll read your review live and loud on the show.
Live.
Smash that like button, as those in the trap are saying, Domer and Kevin.
Kevin's back.
Yeah, Kevin Brown back from Montreal. I know he was up there last night with his wife.
Dude, what's that beaver tail taste like, though?
It's got to be gamey, right? Like, how gamey is a beaver tail?
It's just a beaver tail that they tempura fry, and then they just like
that's where they do
it like
wrong.
They do it like a elephant ear. They put it in there, and then they put powdered sugar on it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
No, I don't know if any of you guys saw that, but go look at Mike Conti's post. The dessert in Montreal, the Canadian dessert called the beaver tail, just a giant.
It's a Canadian sopapilla, is what it is.
Oh. Man.
Right? Isn't that essentially what it is? Just
like
a deep fried piece of dough covered in cinnamon sugar and honey.
Yeah, I want it.
Yeah. God. How was the atmosphere at Stade Saputo last night, Kevin? Kevin Brown, I'd like to know what that was like, because it seemed like our support showed out as always. We had good traveling support.
Should we back up before we start talking about that?
I don't want to talk about the NYCFC game. Good God.
Pretty terrible, right?
Yeah, it is pretty terrible. Actually, I want to point out Brittany S.'s point earlier whenever I brought up the run of form. She said Columbus did their job for us for last night. And I was so disappointed I forgot to look at that result after last night. I just kind of went and sulked.
A lot of really good results yesterday. Aside from that, Orlando eliminated from playoffs. A lot of history with that club.
A lot of history of not making the playoffs.
One of the most historic clubs in the league.
Are they
not making the playoffs?
I want to know the stat. Or aside from FC Cincinnati, is Orlando City the only team in MLS to never make the playoffs?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I can think about pretty much every team.
Because Minnesota qualified this year.
Yeah. Colorado has won a championship. RSL has been to championships, if not just one. LA teams, both of them. Portland, Seattle, Kansas City, obviously. Dallas, Houston, all playoff teams.
Yeah, I think that they might be.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati, obviously they're an expansion team. They just made it to the league this year. I think Orlando City is the only team in MLS to never have made the playoffs. Huh.
Can
somebody confirm that stat for me?
Got that history.
It shouldn't be too hard. It should not be too hard.
History.
Yeah. Okay, Nathan Explosion, new name in the trap.
Oh shit! What up, Nathan?
Nathan Explosion, is that from Metalocalypse?
I don't know. I didn't watch that show much.
Oh, okay.
What did he say?
He said, talk about it. Talking about the NYCFC game.
Yeah.
So I guess we should talk about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, Nathan Explosion is from Metalocalypse. Sweet.
Nice.
Sweet. Voiced by Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse. Is that his name? I'm pretty sure his name's Corpse Grinder. Yeah. The lead singer of Cannibal Corpse is the I was gonna say vocalist. He is the voice of Nathan Explosion.
So NYC game, run of form.
Matt Austin, fact checked. OFYO is the lone team to never make the playoffs outside of Cincinnati, of course.
Wow.
Outside of Cincinnati, 7 years, 7 years and no playoffs. How does that feel? I feel like my voice just sounded like a shock jock, but
they do have that EMLS trophy and
Abuela's dinner plate.
They got that dinner plate.
Yeah,
got the dinner plate.
They got the dinner plate. NYCFC, that game. I mean, I said it going into that game. I think that, and I said it afterwards, and somebody contested me about it.
We didn't record before that game even.
No, I guess we didn't.
So we should probably
San Jose game,
right?
Started NYCFC?
No, start before going into NYCFC.
San Jose game.
We don't really need to talk about the San Jose game, but the biggest takeaway from that game being Joseph's injury.
Yeah, that's true.
Which has affected this team, and you've seen two sort of iterations of the team and the lineup as a result of Joseph's injury. And one of the biggest question marks for this team has been, if not Joseph, then who? Going into the NYC game, one of the biggest concerns I had was the stat that they showed going into the match of Atlanta United goal scorers. Joseph Martinez, 26, 4-4-4-4, 2-2-2, everybody else as far as the actual goals scored. So you have 85% of all your goals coming through one player.
Okay, Joe Johnstone is asking us to play his voicemail.
Oh, okay.
When speaking about the San Jose game. Give me 2 seconds. Keep going. Okay. Keep going.
So yeah, the biggest question mark going into the NYC game was we were all really bummed because of the Joseph injury. Didn't know how long he was going to be out, but obviously we now know it's not as severe an injury as we originally thought coming out of the San Jose match. His streak ended, his watch has ended, but he's still in recovery. We've seen him running going into the NYC match.
He was in that like crazy.
Yeah, the big balloon.
Is that the hyperbaric chamber?
Basically.
The hyperbolic time chamber?
Yeah. So going into NYC match, who was going to replace him? Barco wasn't quite healthy yet. And what was the lineup going to be going in on the road in a compressed field on a compressed schedule? Because that was the quick turnaround week where we played San Jose on Saturday and then we were up at NYC on Wednesday. So,
and then going into it against a team that, in my opinion, has been the best team in MLS for the past probably 2 months.
Yeah.
And I mean, leading up to that night, I think it was LAFC had not won a game in 5. I think they had drawn 4 out of their last 5, and they lost one to Minnesota, I want to say it was, to start that stretch. So they had definitely been on the downturn. They had peaked early. Granted, they won Supporter Shield this past week, but NYCFC has looked every bit a title contender, if not the favorite to me in the past few weeks, if not for the past 2 months. And to your point, lose Joseph, still without Barco.
And then coming off of a very, very subpar performance against San Jose, where you are a man up and you're tied going into the 85th minute.
Okay, so let's listen to Joe Johnstone's.
What's going on, guys? I was just going to call in because there was so much confusion about what happened in the match Saturday and just how crazy it was towards the end, and I can't believe people can't see what happened. I mean, the entire match was a battle for ultimate sexiness. You got Matias Almeida's hair versus Frank de Boer. The breaking point was the 85th minute when Almeida just couldn't take it anymore, even with his hair, and got ejected from the game because of what he said to Frank DeBoer, basically stating that I can't believe you're so dang sexy. I can't hand breaking point for the match because that battle of sexiness had ended. The reef had fell over the stadium and the field, and we scored 2 goals. I'm glad he cleared this up for you guys. Oh yeah, guess what? Eat more chicken.
Very fitting. Very fitting.
Yeah, that relief washing over the stadium or the field.
Yeah.
It's a hormone dump is what we call
That's
it.
exactly what it's. My favorite thing was Ali made his response to the Tito Meg on the sidelines. You see that slowed down?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, whenever Tito Meg that guy, I forget who it was, and his response on the sideline just it's fucking great, especially in slow-mo. So yeah, subpar performance at best at home against the San Jose team that was down a man for at least when did they get that red card? It was pretty early in the second half, right?
Yeah, it was pretty early on.
Disappointing result there, even though it was a win. What's concerned me consistently in the final third of this season is that Atlanta United is not, when they're getting results, it doesn't seem to be done so convincingly.
Yeah.
And it's really concerning going into the playoffs where Joseph hasn't played for a couple of weeks, and he'll be coming back in and getting back into the swing of things. And we always expect to see some fall off in players whenever they're coming back from injury, just the hesitation to go 100% out the gate and risk another potential injury. So seeing the run of form for this Atlanta United team going into that NYC match left a lot to be desired. And then not to mention the roster issues that we had going into that game. And I think the result and the run of play spoke to that from start to finish. There was not much to take away from that game. LGP makes some really bad one-on-one plays, and that's been
which game are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And even last night we saw LGP make a boneheaded mistake that ends up leading to the equalizing goal. But
I at least understand what he was trying to do there. He thought that maybe he can latch on to that tackle in front of Okonkwo.
Whenever the entire talk, even from the announcers for that game, is about how Atlanta United seems to be riding the ship defensively in that match, because what they had been doing and how they had been getting so exposed was either through long balls over the back line or just making really bad one-on-one defensive plays outside of Miles Robinson. So defensively, it was run, hold up play, and then have a second line of defense with an overlap. And that worked for most of last night until you have a defender try to take somebody one-on-one without somebody there to recover, and he misses, and it just completely exposes a run that somebody has to pull off to then cover that wasn't planning to do so.
Yeah, they crashed the box really well on that, and Okonkwo found Boyan perfectly on that. I mean, that was a great run and a great assist from Okonkwo on that. And yeah, I mean, it was ultimately LGP's fault that we were in that situation.
You go into these matches, or especially NYC, because I feel like it's been a new Atlanta United team since Joseph's been out. And we've talked about this a lot, where over the years, where when the lineup changes and the roster changes, particularly if it's to an extreme on one line of the field versus the other side of it has to respond to that. So knowing that the offensive playmaking ability was going to be limited, the defensive hold up play had to respond to that in some way to hold that line. And they just got run over by that NYC team.
Yeah. I mean, to Sid the Science Kid's point, I made this point about, I think on Twitter during the game, if not after it, but he's saying, I thought NYCFC game needed Larry more so than Montreal. I would say definitely needed him in NYCFC. I still think we needed him in Montreal. I said we should have been completely defensive for a draw. I don't think it's just that. I mean, I think Remedi had a really bad game against NYCFC. That midfield was non-existent, but we couldn't actually establish anything. It's obviously a harder field to play on. Everybody was up and down the entire time. It's ping pong the entire game. you can never establish control in that middle. But at the same time, I felt like if we could have had Larry's presence, Jeff Larenowitz's presence in that game, that we could have controlled that so much better because I felt like Remedi kept getting caught out. And
I feel like Michael Parkhurst even in that game. I mean,
Yeah.
Pogba was a huge liability in that game. I mean, he leads to a PK that, by the grace of God, we end up not conceding a fifth goal.
Yeah. Bill Holcomb, when's the last? Welcome back, Bill. When's the last good game Remedi has had? I don't know. Honestly, it's been a while since
I
he's
said
really
that same
looked.
thing about Tito last night, right before he ends up scoring the goal that ends up getting overturned. But I think a lot of that can be said about a lot of the team because the team hasn't had a lot of really good games.
I don't think that's true, though. I mean,
consistently.
I don't know. I think there have definitely been bright spots.
Yeah, spots for sure.
But the NYCFC game, I don't know where those bright spots were. I mean,
against the San Jose game, up until the last 10 minutes, there wasn't much of one.
Yeah, that's true. Last night, I think there was more to take away. I think that despite the grand slam that he hit, I thought Brandon Vasquez, if he can get his head straight finishing the ball like he has in US Open Cup and like he did in the U20s, I feel like his movement, his effort,
there's too many ifs and maybes.
His interchange. But I mean, there's nobody else to play up right now other than Tito. Because Joseph's injured.
Why not Andrew Carlton?
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Carlton has been on fire. I threw that out. I mean, I feel like there has been a hole in this team, and
you've got to rotate players. Like, clearly, Brandon Vasquez is not producing any sort of difference in the game through his involvement. Yes, he's made some good runs, but I feel like his good runs are overshadowed by his terrible finishing that he's had in golden opportunities on a big stage. Because of that, you have to, you can't, I mean, I guess you can. Atlanta's fortunate enough in this position to do so. You can just sort of keep riding that out. But I guess that's an interesting thing. What do you do to get ahead a little bit? Considering Atlanta's run of form and the lineup, what do you do going into this weekend's match, knowing that Atlanta, with a win, clinches second? Do you throw everything at it to try to jump up one more seed in playoffs? Or do you just try to iron things out, play a good, consistent match, and get really solid reps for everybody and be content with third? If second happens, great.
I'm with Bill Holcomb. I think this is absolutely a must win. 2 home games in the playoffs is crucial, especially in a winner take all scenario. You can't rely on that away and, the home and away fixtures. It's if we get 2 going in and then potentially a third, if NYCFC gets knocked out, it's huge. I mean, you can't sneeze at that. I mean, I think you throw everything you can at this game on Sunday. I think we win this game. It's not like I know New England, whenever Bruce Arena came in, he injected new life into the team. He actually realized, oh shit, Brad Friedel wasn't doing anything and got them doing something.
I'd prefer to win so we don't have to play them in the playoffs. If we lose, we're going to have to play them again, right? The next week.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not a good matchup. I mean, if we lose, I mean, the only thing you can really rest on at that point is, well, maybe we'll get the mentality and Joseph will be back and that'll make the difference. But it depends on how bad we lose. I'd rather win against them.
Play them again.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would
play them again knowing that we were able to find some success in that result.
Right.
It's a lot easier to maintain success than overcome failure, I think.
Yes. And I think they're 1-4-0 in their last 5. So they haven't lost, but at the same time, they've won one of those games out of their last 5.
And what was that one this weekend?
Yeah. Against NYCFC.
Huge fucking win for them.
Yeah. On a full size field. NYCFC maybe gets a little exposed out there. They're playing without Keaton Works. I don't know if that was their only injury this weekend. But that's definitely a huge blow to the team, to the lineup, to not have him out there. But I mean, New England's got players, man.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely have some playmakers. Bruce Arena is, as much as I don't like the guy, especially from his USMNT 10 years, I can't believe it's plural. He has injected life into that team. He has gone out there with some sort of intent and mission and game plan, and it's worked out for them for the most part. I mean, they're in the playoff hunt. Did they clinch last night?
Who? New England?
Yeah. Okay.
Who do you so 2 points here between Nathan. Do you guys think NYC is the only real threat for Atlanta in the Eastern Conference playoffs, or would you put Philly in there also? And then also the sort of follow-up to that, where was it? Joe Johnstone, who would you rather play, New England or Toronto? Maybe kind of partner both of those up together.
There's only one team in the play. To Joe Johnstone's point, he said, I would put New York Red Bulls, Toronto, Philly, NYCFC are all dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's every team other than New England in the Eastern Conference playoffs right now is a threat to the Eastern throne. I still think it's NYCFC's to lose. I think yesterday is probably not an aberration. I think the Revs are a formidable team, but I think NYCFC is still the best team in the East, and I think if they just keep playing how they have been playing and not making silly mistakes or anything like that, I think, again, I mean, they have a couple guys with 15 goals. I mean, that speaks for itself to me. They're a dangerous team, and they're good on defense.
How great is it that we're sitting here talking about the very real, very tangible possibility that Atlanta United is second in the East, only removed by a couple of points from taking first place?
Oh, I forgot about DC. Sorry, DC.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not worried about DC.
As worried about DC either.
Say that again.
That we're sitting here a week removed from the end of a week until the end of the season, and we very well could be sitting here next week talking about how Atlanta United ended up being second in the East when we were all saying, well, anything, if we make playoffs, it's a win. We didn't expect much going into the season. I mean, I know, but
I've
been quoted to say I thought that this was a 4th to 7th place team midway through the season. I thought 3rd through 7th. To be up to 2nd even. I mean, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty crazy. Philly's good though, man.
We kept thinking they would fall off all year.
Yeah, because I felt like they had that pedigree of not being able to continuously play up to their potential, and I think they finally have.
Do you think? Okay, so this is the more interesting discussion, more so even than Atlanta United's result this weekend. Does Philly pull it out against NYC this weekend?
Where are they playing? Are they in NYC?
I don't know.
Let's see. They are in Philly. Oh man, that's going to be a very telling matchup.
That game very well could decide who wins.
And to Bill Holcomb's point, NYCFC should be resting all of their key players going into this weekend. Convention would say they've clinched the first place. They have a first round bye. They have home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Yeah. Why would you risk injury? I think the same thing about LAFC. We had this discussion before we started. I never want to wish ill of any player or for any player. Like, it's so shitty to see people online talk about, just slide tackle Joseph in the back, just take him out of the game. I never want a player to get injured.
A body bag.
I never want a player to get injured, but I want cocky managers to get punished. And
Bob Bradley.
Yeah. You've got Carlos Vela, who's now tied Joseph's single season goal record as of this past weekend. Does LAFC start Carlos this weekend when they secured Supporter Shield last weekend? He didn't really even need to play this week, but especially in the final week, knowing you've got a bye and everything, it's the same sort of scenario that we're talking about with NYCFC. If LAFC trots out Carlos Vela, part of me wants him to take a knock, not anything career ending or anything, but enough to keep him out the first match, just to say, why the fuck would you do that? Like, what are you doing by doing that other than stroking your own ego against a Colorado team
that
has conceded 60 goals this season?
But a team that, who pointed that out up there? Bill, he said, who beat LAFC in LA earlier this year?
That's very true.
Colorado RSL. It was Colorado.
That's very true.
Colorado beat them over there.
Very true.
And again, that could end up happening. I still think, and I've said this for months now, I think this LAFC team is very vulnerable in this one game. Everybody is vulnerable, but I think they're not in.
Not Orlando.
Yeah. You got to make it. You got to make it. Colorado doesn't have a chance to make the playoffs still, do they?
I think they stayed alive.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
Oh shit. They can make the 7th.
That's right.
Oh, we're going to be over there during playoffs.
The East is locked up, right?
I think so, yeah. I don't think they're...
I'm pretty sure East got locked up.
Aside from us, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the teams that are in.
Oh, yeah. But
second and third, second and third can
and
jump.
then 4th, 5th, and 6th. And 5th... no, 6th and 7th can switch, and then 4th, 5th, and 6th could swap. Yeah. There's going to be some shuffling. I think by the end of it...
So if we beat New England, we're guaranteed to play them again.
Yeah.
If we lose to New England, we would play Toronto, depending on the Toronto result, right?
Yeah.
Or potentially play New England again.
Yeah.
But we're playing New England or Toronto. For sure.
Yes.
So the question holds from Joe Johnston earlier. Who would you rather play between the two?
New England.
Okay.
I'll
wait until after this weekend. I said it a few weeks ago. I've been scared of this New England team. Granted, the run that they went on a couple of months ago has not been sustainable and hasn't been a continuous run. But to see them come out and pull out a big result against NYCFC this past weekend, if they get another result this weekend, it seems to be that they're back on that trend again. And I don't want to play them.
Nobody wants that.
I mean, that's a huge momentum swing for that team going into playoffs, coming off of beating the 1st and 3rd team in the East going into playoffs.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Okay.
And they would beat us at home, so home field advantage is already...
So playoff picture as it stands right now is we host New England, Philly hosts Toronto, DC hosts NYRB, otherwise known as the Jersey Red Bulls. Western Conference, you got Minnesota hosting Dallas, Seattle hosting Portland, LA Galaxy hosting Real Salt Lake. Some really interesting matchups. You have two kind of offensive powerhouses to me in LA Galaxy and Real Salt Lake that I think that's going to be a very interesting game. I guess powerhouse maybe not the right word for Real Salt Lake, but they can definitely score goals in bunches whenever it comes. But these are some really good lineups. I mean, you have Seattle and Portland playing that Cascadia Cup or whatever you want to call it, that big rivalry up there.
The other big point, I mean, Brittany S makes it, which is Colorado will be playing hard to get a playoff spot. That's really risky from a manager's standpoint of,
but it also
trotting out your starting line.
Bob Bradley's not shy about his hubris.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. Yeah, exactly. He still thinks he should be coaching the U.S. men's national team. Everybody else thinks differently. But that, I mean, that could be a very interesting or very dangerous thing.
Very dangerous game.
Yeah, very dangerous game.
The most
dangerous game.
On the hunt for Vela. You know who's not in the hunt?
Orlando.
Oh, man. Okay, so we talked about NYC. Let's talk about
Montreal.
Starting lineup, Barco makes the 18 because he was not in the 18 against NYC.
He was not.
So Barco makes the 18. You hear Carlos Bocanegra talk before the game with Jillian Sakovits and Dan Gargan that he expected Barco to get play time. So that was good. We had seen him training over the past couple of weeks. So see Barco in the lineup. Also no Remedi because of yellow card accumulation, as well as Franco Escobar didn't have yellow card accumulation.
No, he was on the bench.
He just sat. So biggest rotations were getting Michael Parkhurst in the lineup.
Yep.
Back three between
no flow pogs.
Yep. Back three between Parkhurst, Miles Robinson, and LGP. Midfield, you've got Jeff Larinowitz filling in for Eric Rometty, Darlington Nagbe. You've got Gressel on right.
Emerson Heineman up the middle too.
Emerson Hyman in the middle as well. Also saw Justin Miram starting, who did not start against NYC, and then PT up top. So lineup overall, I mean, some really big changes to that, particularly on both sides of the field, both with Justin Miram, who seems to be a key player in this lineup at this point. You know, what's going to be interesting is whenever we've got a healthy Joseph and a healthy Barco, if Justin stays in that position, because
I don't see why not.
I mean, he's been so beneficial to the lineup.
More so on defense sometimes, I think, than on offense.
Absolutely.
Like, he's very calm on defense, sometimes like nerve-wrackingly so.
Oh, yeah. We've seen him dance around in the 6-yard box just to get him and Nagbe both have that ability to just stay completely calm under pressure.
And Heineman's kind of the same way too.
Yeah. You know, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think that but I don't know how you could keep Barco out. Just seeing the play times and the impact that he makes in the game and the way that he did coming into the match last night, aside from a couple of hesitant passes that he didn't make a little bit quicker, overall, I thought he made a huge difference in that game whenever he came in. So Barco has to fit in this lineup somehow, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I don't know where that is right now. Because Pity Martinez is playing really well right now too.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't.
But I guess I would give the edge to Barco because they both took the same shot last night. And Barco was a little bit closer because he actually hit the post rather than the stand.
I think Barco slips in for Heineman.
Yeah,
I think that's the natural fit because I think that you don't want to mess with for as much as they have weaknesses as the wingbacks. I think Gressel and Miram have shown more often than not that they're needed out there on either side. Whereas I think Heineman is a nice.
Oh, Vasquez on the bench. We're all on the same page.
Oh yeah. What was I going to say? Heineman's kind of a luxury right now. I think that having essentially two Darlington Nagbys in there, one playing further up to me, I think you could probably. I love Heineman out there, but I think that you could sit him, leave Nagbe and Jeff in there to anchor the midfield, and then you can pretty much release Barco, PD, and then Joseph on the prowl up front. I mean, to Marshall Voigt's point, say that 10 times fast. How many games have we had all three DPs on the field this year? Can't wait to see that in the playoffs.
Maybe 2 or 3 at the most.
Yeah.
Okay, so Domer and Elliott, Tito striker, front three, Tito, Pity, and Barco. Thoughts on Tito up top, or Tito in general, since he's become a more viable option in the roster? You and I had it's tough to have this conversation because of the results that ended up getting overturned. Because of the results that happen, like he gets the goal, it gets overturned. But aside from that goal, overall, personally, I have just not seen much out. Fuck this mic. I've not seen much out of Tito for me that's been impressive over the course of this season.
No, I can't see that either. Granted, he hasn't had enough consistent play time. He hasn't really gelled with the team, especially under Frank DeBoer. I don't think it's his fault necessarily. He's obviously a very talented player we've seen over the course of the past 3 years. I don't think he really fits into this lineup. Maybe DeBoer knew something, or maybe it's a little column A, a little column B, where he's not as motivated and he's not been given enough play time to really fit into the squad.
Seems to be sort of mirrored by Bill's point. Tito's a nice mascot, which is, I mean, I love Tito to death as a person and what he brings to this team as a substitution, but as a starter and as a viable threat consistently, I've just not seen it this season. And that point seems to be a little bit echoed by Brian, who says you're seeing why he couldn't get minutes last year in the playoffs. I think
the biggest thing is what Bill just said too.
Absolutely.
Said if I have to watch Tito fumble away possession in a 1v1 one more time, I'll throw something. The same to me goes for Justin Miram, because that has been happening a lot lately. It's been so predictable on that wing. That
right at the top of the 18.
Yeah, and I just feel like if he got rid of, like, he could be more predictable and get the ball away sooner and just loft it into the box, and it's going to be more beneficial and more effective than trying to juke the player to either side. So
Yeah, it's been tough to watch because it has been consistently the same effort. At least with Miram,
and it breaks my heart.
you've seen some distribution that is promising. Yes, he does get tied up in some 1v1s that don't always go his way. And yes, it's frustrating. But with Tito, I feel like more times than not, it's that 1v1 coming up short. And the distribution, I mean, his distribution against NYCFC can equally be blamed for the first goal that they score as much as it is for LGP's defending, because he plays a fucking back pass to Miles Robinson at his hip from the opposing 18. Like, Miles isn't expecting that check pass out of fucking nowhere. So, I mean, again, it's a matter of needing to have somebody up top being able to distribute and have the one. I'm not expecting him to take 1v1 successfully every time. I mean, even if it's 50-50, that's great as long as he's getting some quality distribution. But I haven't really seen much consistently out of both fronts. So that's my point on that.
Gressel played really well last night, I felt.
Yeah. Gressel's been another one, though, that's been really hot and cold all year.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's played a lot better out wide, but he's not had the season that he's had the past 2 seasons. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
fair.
Know,
whereas Joseph, you feel like, has been as good as he has been in years past. Some of the other playmakers, you can say the same. Brad Guzan, I feel like, has been pretty consistent all year.
Yeah.
I don't think Gressel has had a substantial fall off this year since years past. And that's not to say he's a bad player, but it's certainly not the consistent quality. And some of that's just been where he's fallen into the rotation and where he's fallen.
Yeah, I mean, he's not naturally a right wing back.
Yeah.
And then you take into account, I mean, the league has had 2 years to whatever you want to call it, figure him out and the game plan for him, because he is a very dangerous winger. He's one of the best wingers in MLS.
Oh, Domer. I think that we have other options up top besides Tito. That's what I'm saying.
I would take,
especially now with a healthy Barco.
I would take Brandon Vasquez over Tito up front, just because the movement, the distribution, the hold up play. I felt, again,
that's a very interesting topic.
I felt like his positioning, his effort. I don't know, whatever. Say what you will about effort. Alfred Dad loves it, and I just thought his finishing product was lacking. He had a one shot from 20 out that was on frame that what's his name? Clement Jop knocked out. Let's talk about that guy.
Oh my, him saving fucking Barco's free kick. My God.
Yeah. So Joe Johnston says, "How about Jop?" Exactly. So if it weren't if it weren't for him, we win that game. Like,
oh my
running
God.
away.
Oh my God. The two strikes at the end were just, for him to get a hand on those is fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
Tito has a fucking, as much as I've just gotten off of the Tito bandwagon in the past 15 minutes, he does have 2 really good plays. The one that gets overturned, and then he does have a fucking gorgeous curler from outside that keeper gets his hand to.
Yeah, the Barco's free kick. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Clement Jop. He did a great job. I felt like I don't know. I mean, that overshadows. Really kind of highlights to me how we improved from the NYCFC game.
Oh, absolutely.
To last night.
Aside from one boneheaded mistake on defense.
Yeah.
Overall, defensively, we played a much better game last night.
Michael Parkhurst has a knack, and I think I just noticed it last night, to where he gets a foot in, and his tackles and his interceptions lead to distribution.
Distributable balls.
Yes, exactly.
People did not take kindly to my ageism on Michael Parkhurst last night.
Did you think he played poorly last night?
No, he was cramping up.
Oh, gotcha.
I said that when he was fucking cramping up, like he needed it. I
think people took it as like, you were saying get off the field, like get this old guy off the field.
He had a great fucking game, but he was clearly in distress and needed his walker to get him off the field because his legs were fucking dead. He was limping a little bit before that challenge, and then he goes in and wins the ball and is just, I mean, yeah. It was not a slight at Michael Parkhurst.
I think he and Jeff.
Overall.
I think he and Jeff both had good games last night.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's what you want to see out of your veteran players.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to see Michael Parkhurst go, and I don't know that we've recorded since he announced his retirement, have we?
No, hats off.
Yeah, which we all saw coming. I think we all saw that coming going into this season. We thought he'd get one more year, a good mentorship role coming into this season to see the next group come in and ushers in a very exciting new group, including Miles Robinson, who has played fucking great this season.
Yeah. And moving him over to the right, it was kind of a test because he's been playing in the middle pretty much all season, Miles Robinson, and he did a good job out there on the right. He's looked definitely a lot more confident and less shaky out there over the past couple weeks.
Yeah. All right, so what else do we have from last night? We expect to see Barco starting this weekend, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, there's no reason why not.
Gotta be. I think it's...
What's your lineup for Sunday?
I think it's like for like what we saw this past match with the substitutions, essentially, as far as Barco in for Vasquez. I think we keep Miram in, keep Heineman in. The only thing I could potentially see is maybe Escobar in for Parkhurst, because Parkhurst was struggling towards the end of that match, or either, if not in for Parkhurst, it's at least an earlier substitution than we had this past weekend. What'll be interesting to me is whether or not you see Jeff or Remedi play, because that's one that I could really see go either way, because Jeff didn't have a bad game at all, and Eric hasn't had a really good game lately. So
yeah,
which way you push that, in all honesty, I'd almost like to see Jeff and Parkhurst get another half under their belts, knowing that we'll probably need them if we go into a late playoff run, just to get some reps. And then you see an early substitution for both of them in the second half. But that's really the biggest change for me overall. I think that needs to happen would be Barco and for Vasquez.
And then you put PD up front or Barco up front?
I think they're gonna have to rotate out, which you see them do that naturally anyway. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you put up there; they're gonna rotate in and out.
What do we got? I like what Bill's saying. He said, "I bet Jeff already knows this is last season, but probably Eric doesn't want the spotlight, so he hasn't told anybody."
Domer mentions a sub that we haven't talked about, which is
Dion Pereira.
Yeah,
he had a really poor game against NYC.
He did. He did come in late too, though.
That's true, but it kind of stood out how he's. Yep. I love the guy. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be a good player for us for a long time. But
again, it comes back to what do you really, really need to do, and is gassing out your players that are already looking fatigued for this last match of the regular season and potentially risking injury going into a playoff scenario. Like, yes, it's a quote unquote must-win game, but it's not a must-win game to sacrifice your potential for making a playoff run, because it is single elimination knockout, regardless of if you're second or sixth. So that would be my point there, is maybe Miram does need a little bit of rest because he has played a ton and it seems to be showing. So
I mean, he sat during the NYCFC game, right?
Did he? Who did we have?
We played a 4-back.
But who do we have over on left?
Pogba.
That's right.
It was Pogba, LGP, Robinson, and Franco Escobar. We had a back 4.
That's right. We did do that.
So Miram pretty much had a full week of rest between San Jose and
it's a good point.
And Montreal.
It's a good point.
All right. Is it the witching hour yet?
What you got? What do you want to talk about?
Is it the witching hour?
You got something brewing. What is it?
No, there's just
I want to know.
There's a lot of good albums coming up.
Like what?
And I'm excited about.
Like what?
That Bayside album comes out on Friday.
It's gonna be great.
New Norma Jean album.
Okay on that one.
Whatever.
What?
Nah, I know.
You know what a good measuring stick is for how out of shape you've gotten? Regardless of how old I get, every show I go to, I'm like, I got to get in the pit for at least one song.
Yeah.
Went to see Hail the Sun last week. Got in for 2 songs, and I thought I was going to fucking puke.
Yeah.
I was sucking air. It was so bad.
Michelle is asking if Merrim turned down the national team spot. Okay, yeah, and Matt Austin saying Merrim did come on for like the last 19 minutes, but I didn't know that Merrim turned down a national team spot to go play for Iraq. Or no, he turned down a call up to go play for Iraq because of
Joseph
the playoffs.
Joseph's recently made a statement about his international call ups too. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
He will no longer be accepting international team call ups.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What's the reasoning behind it?
It's in Spanish. He mentioned a couple of things that I could parcel out, and I don't know if my
Brian said the coach.
Yeah, that's what I took from it, but my Spanish is a little rusty.
El Jefe es malo.
Yeah,
Is that what it says?
I don't think that was it.
Huh. Everybody's saying the manager.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
seen that happen with a couple players.
Yeah,
where I mean,
he said something to the effect, if I remember right, like it just something about it not representing his neighborhood or that he grew up in, or something along those lines. Mi barrio.
Interesting. Interesting. No, I've seen that happen before with players, but they'll come back to their national team where there's a rift. It's happened with a couple of Liverpool players recently, but 7-0-0 Liverpool, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know who else is undefeated this season? Clemson.
Auburn.
Y'all. So let's do switch it up. We got old War Damn Domer in the trap tonight.
War Damn Domer.
How you feeling about this weekend? You got a big matchup against Florida.
Yeah. I think Florida.
I asked this question knowing you haven't watched a single fucking football game this season.
Yeah, I have.
College football?
Yeah.
You just watched to see if Clemson would lose. Don't lie.
Yeah, that's all I watched. Yes, Matt Austin, War Damn. Bo Nix is looking a lot better. The defense is looking better. It's this team reminds me of. It's going to sound a little hyperbolic, but it does remind me of the Cam Newton Auburn team because it started off a little slow, a little sluggish. They're getting better and better. The defense is ratcheting things down, and Bo Nix is starting to find his way. And I think it's kind of dangerous. Like
I had full plans to watch the matchup against Mississippi State this past weekend to kind of see what the matchup might be going against Florida. And I turned it off after the first 5 minutes whenever they were up 21-3 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, we were out at East Atlanta Strut, so I missed a good portion of that game.
Of the season.
Yeah.
I was out at East Atlanta Strut this weekend, so I missed the first 5 games of this season.
Oh, you're ridiculous. Florida's overrated, though. And to Matt Austin's point, their best opponent has been Kentucky.
That's a good point.
I'm not to say, I mean, Dan Mullen's a good coach, but yeah, I don't know.
Who's Auburn's best opponent been so far?
Oregon.
Texas A&M?
Oregon, probably.
Really? You think Oregon's better than A&M?
I don't know. It might be a toss-up, but I mean,
and then
are they still the only team with 2 top 15 wins this season?
I think so.
I mean,
but again, and then this is when it gets interesting because then you look at teams like A&M who have 2 losses against 2 ranked teams. So it's like, are they really bad or are they good?
No, for sure. Yeah. And then Clemson almost losing to UNC.
Yeah. Well, they almost lost to Syracuse last year. We all know how that ended up. So I think we'll be all right.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be all right.
Yeah, fuck. Tua still plays in the West.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
So Bill's saying Auburn's still going to end up in 3rd in the West. You're probably right. LSU looks fucking
The
ridiculous.
LSU Alabama game is the one I've got circled for sure.
What's the kid's name? The Burrows?
Yep.
That kid's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then so is Tua.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jerry Jeudy. But then Jalen Hurts looks incredible over at Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting run. And then Trevor Lawrence has just been all over the fucking place with Clemson.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how
People
it all
are
shakes
people
out.
are getting fed up. People are getting fed up that we're talking about
No, they're
soccer.
not. Look at everybody's on board with fucking
I
college
know.
football talk.
I know. It's
We
Michelle and Elliot
live in
even.
Georgia. What are you talking about? Cartoon version of Guzan. What are you talking about?
How about cartoon version of Guzan?
Mr. Clean? Is that what we're talking about?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
Anybody doing Inktober? I know Kevin's doing Inktober.
I am doing Inktober. I'm excited about that. You can follow along at The Architect on Instagram.
Norwich beating Man City. We didn't cover that, but I love it. And I can't believe I was cheering for a Blues victory against Man City that didn't come on Saturday. I don't know, Michelle. Michelle's saying no to that victory by Norwich being awesome because where I'm sitting, it's a 5-point lead for Liverpool 7 games into the season, and it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. Maradona documentary comes out tomorrow.
Did you ever get your DVD back from Jason Longshore?
I have still not gotten my Blu-ray of Damned United starring Michael Sheen back from Jason Longshore. To his point, I'll get it back.
He's too busy winning awards and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That
Big-
Kangol hat don't stop.
Big time in it.
Yeah.
Big time in it. All right. Speaking of big time in it, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. You can follow along each and every week by subscribing on YouTube. You can just do bit.ly/HB4D YouTube or find us on Twitter. I haven't really posted much on Instagram lately from the show page, but
Yeah, I got a new phone. I haven't even logged into the
well,
Instagram account.
all social media at Home Before Dark. That's before spelled B and the number 4.
Bill's asking if Dan's still alive. We put out an SOS earlier on, and
He is alive because he texted me after that travesty of a Clemson match and said, "Are you still alive?"
We played SOS by the Police for the first 10 minutes of the show. Bill.
Dan texts me more about Clemson than he comes on the show to talk about it.
I see where his allegiances lie.
Exactly.
It's me, isn't it?
It's definitely you. It's definitely. He got tired of you tinkering. That's what he said.
I'll tinker now and I'll turn down all your volumes.
Good
All of them.
luck. Good luck. People have been trying to do that
I'll
for
get
years.
in your mic. This sound travels. That's for damn sure.
It's funny you say that. Earlier we were talking about my car and having to get my car maintenance done and having to, what was the phrase that you used? Like,
A money pit or no?
no, you said like, it's always tough having to decide when something's worth it or
Yeah.
not. And the first thing my mind went to is like you've been doing with our friendship for all these years.
He gets it. He gets it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for checking us out. You can always call in 678-827-3297. Phone lines are always open for Joe Johnstone mostly. But if you want to call in, feel free to do so. 678-827-3297. We'll be out there Sunday to close out the season. You going to go out early? Or are you just going to roll in at game time?
I don't know. We have Candler Park Festival this weekend.
That's right.
So I'm going to abandon Angie on Sunday to go to the game.
Oh, she's not going.
No, she's not. It's a huge festival for her. So, yeah. It's one of the big 2-day festivals in Atlanta.
Who you got going with you? Anybody?
Don't know yet.
I was going to say, why don't you just sell both of your tickets and you just sit with me or vice versa, and we'll just take the proceeds and just load up on tachos.
Okay.
Sound like a plan.
That sounds good to me. I'm going to load up on gout medicine. I want the burnt
we
and
haven't,
nachos.
we haven't gone to a game together this season. Oh, well, we did Campione's Cup, but we
Yeah.
haven't had a boys are back in town match.
No, we haven't.
Need to figure something out.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Okay.
We'll make it happen.
All right. Sounds good, man. All right. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. If you found us on iTunes or YouTube, wherever, do a thumbs up, star rating. We didn't get any new ratings or reviews, right? Leave us a new review on iTunes or YouTube, wherever you can, to hear them read aloud on the show, no matter what they say or how many stars they may be equipped with. Love the hell out of you guys and gals. We'll see you out there Sunday. Score prediction.
3-0 Atlanta.
2-1 Atlanta. Yeah, I think we close out strong. So see you guys next week. As always, be home before dark.